I had an internship at a hedge fund one summer. It's probably the best thing I ever did. I was like, I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do, you know? And the cows have to go onto these other pastures in the summer so that we can grow hay here at headquarters. Then everybody comes back here and gets fed, you know, for the winter. It's all 100% grass. Just Jackson's climate isn't conducive to growing grain, and that's kind of how we got into the grass-fed beef business. We kind of think it's neat that if you were to close every road on in and out of Teton County, our product would stay the same. You know, we make all the hay and raise all the cows here, and they stay here, you know, year round, and they get butchered here and delivered here. And you know, we've talked about expanding outside of Teton County to other restaurants and grocery stores, and maybe we will, maybe we won't. But for right now, we think it's neat that it never leaves the valley.
I'd like to welcome everybody back. We're here in Lockhart Ranch in beautiful Jackson, Wyoming. We've got ourselves a new toy here as well. We've got a little wood-fired oven here, thanks to Pete Jenkins, buddy. This is a 5th generation ranch here in Jackson, Wyoming. These guys have been raising Hereford cows. Really beautiful meat, nice and lean, all grass-fed, never grain finished. It's a bit of a bittersweet time of year right now because all these things are going to be disappearing. So the dish that we're going to do today is a seared Lockhart beef with all these vegetables. It's going to be a big, bright, heavy-duty stew, and then I eat this stuff all through the winter. There's nothing better, like in February, January, when it's 20 below, you pull this out of the freezer, and you have the bounty of summer ready to go. So we're gonna get started. This is a totally optional thing here. This is hay cut right from where we're standing right now. We're just gonna kind of wet it down a little bit here. But if you wanna come down and bother somebody, get a handful of hay, do it, because this is like a really cool method. You can do this at home in your oven, not a problem at all. Just wrap it up like I'm gonna do now, chuck it in the oven, 450. Don't let it set on fire, but keep your eye on it. And as they say, around here we like our wind relentless. So cut the ends off those guys. We're gonna get them into a bowl. Olive oil. We're gonna put these guys right down, nestled into the hay. I'm gonna kind of close up that lid and throw it into the oven. We'll let those guys kick for a minute, and then we're gonna prep up our steaks right now. Our beautiful Lockhart steaks. We have 3 different kinds today. We have a sirloin, a petite tender, and then we have a flat iron steak. So what I like to do about 15 minutes or so before I cast iron sear these guys is just to give them a nice little marinade, olive oil and salt and pepper, and then just let them rest for a minute. These are the vegetables that we're doing here, and I like to classify the vegetables in order of appearance here. You know, corn can kind of head towards this middle section. Peppers can come in here, and then the tomatoes, you really don't mind if those break down some. So we're gonna start off with the carrots and leeks and a little bit of garlic, and we'll just move in that order. So with the carrots, farm carrots, organic carrots, don't ever peel them. I never do. It's a crime, and I'll come and find you. It's not good. So now for our garlic, full head on this guy, because it's gonna soften. When I see the geese fly, that's when I start making stuff like this, because I know it's gonna get cold, and so do they. So with the garlic, for this guy, I want it bigger pieces. The last of the beans for the season right there. Sometimes seeing different shapes and sizes in your stew is kind of cool. Now we're gonna go in with our peppers. And I don't think it's that easy to grow peppers at this elevation. So what they get is just this really high sugar content, the gorgeous aroma. Now we're gonna work into the softer vegetables. What I like to do is take them in half, break them. That way they don't fly all over the place, make a mess of your kitchen. And if you want, a lot of times, this time of year especially, You can take these really sweet cobs, you can put them into a pot, take onions, garlic, bay leaf, and boil them for about 2 hours. And what you get is this really beautiful corn broth. That way you don't waste anything. So finishing up with our corn here, we're gonna get into these beautiful summer squashes. Those guys I'll probably just cut down in thirds. These guys really start to sweeten up too with the frost before they're gone. So now for these beautiful hikuri turnips. I'm actually gonna pull the tops off these guys, and I'm just gonna kind of rough chop these guys up, different shapes, different textures here. So finished up with the turnips. Now we're gonna get into the beauties, local tomatoes. I wanna leave those kind of big. Since our braising time is gonna be an hour or so, I'm gonna have a little bit of tomato left at the end of it. So we got all our veg cut. Now for the exciting part. The onions are in there just absolutely smoldering and smoking away. And look at that, some of the color on there, amazing. So we're gonna fire our cast iron in, ready for our steaks. We're gonna set that baby right up on top of there. It's gonna get so hot. We're gonna work with our onions real fast here. And I'm gonna leave these guys kind of in bigger pieces because they're gonna be kind of the star of the show in there with the steak. You have your base, you have your end, you have your middle. Everything organized, cleaned up, ready to go. So let's get to these steaks. We have our cast iron absolutely ripping hot in the oven. We're gonna pull that guy out. We're gonna go in with a little tiny touch of oil. You can see how hot that pan is. Whoa. In with the flat iron. Right back on the fire here. We're gonna flip these guys. I'll show you that. And that's what you want. Nice and brown, caramelized all the way through, so crispy. And there's no better way to cook a steak than on wood, in a wood-fired oven in a cast iron pan. That flavor that comes off there is absolutely unbeatable. Unless you're a vegetarian, I love you too. Let those guys go for another about 4 minutes in some absolutely beautiful steaks. Browned on both sides. We're gonna set these guys in here to rest. They're gonna start to relax, release some of their juices. We're gonna save that juice. We're gonna get a little bit more oil in there to accommodate these vegetables. So into the casty we go. So a little salt and pepper goes in there. And back in the oven for a real hot roast. And as you can see, translucent, breaking down, gorgeous. The smell is amazing. It's really nice, heavy duty enamel. We're gonna go right on the fire with this guy. And that's not gonna take long in that oven because it is hot, hot, hot. We're gonna go in with some olive oil. Now we're gonna saute our second tier of vegetables, which is the peppers and the little tiny green beans, the haricot verts. Season every layer of your soup. And you can see that, I mean, that's just so gorgeous. Greens, peppers, I mean, come on. So we're gonna put that right back in there on the hot coals. So we're gonna take these guys and start cutting them. So this is our sirloin. Now we're gonna take out our flat iron. This is actually one of my favorite steaks of all time. So you can see the grain running through here. You wanna cut against that. I can't resist. Oh, I'm going home. It's insane. You smell that smoke? Ha! I've fallen in love with this meat so much I'm gonna forget about my vegetables. So don't turn your back on a good thing. They're starting to brown just a little bit. So basically what we've done here is deglaze with vegetables. Now we have our two levels together. I'm gonna throw our cast iron back in and we're gonna do our other vegetables in here. We're gonna finish up cutting this meat. It's the hoarder, it's the winter hoarder in me. Hot cast iron again. Now we're gonna go in a third installment. So now it's gonna be our sweet corn. We're gonna saute that really quick here. Won't take long. We're gonna hit that with just a tiny touch of salt and pepper. And the only heat it's gonna need is a residual heat from this cast iron because this thing is so hot right now. Then we're gonna add our tomatoes, cook for a minute. We picked up some beautiful color in there too from that pan. So now we're gonna go back in, and now it's starting to look just absolutely gorgeous. Just to get that warm, I wanna talk a little bit about this for all you IPA sucklers out there. This is a local beer, Melvin IPA. This stuff is delicious. So, and that's not an advertisement, it's just good. I can hear that we're hot again here. So we're gonna go in with the beer. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our juices along with the beer from our steak here. We have our potatoes, our beautiful fingerlings. For this, I'm gonna cut them into half coins so I can rip through them here because these guys are actually kind of a little bit big. So potatoes are done there. I'm gonna gather those little monkeys up. The liquid is gonna start to pull the potato starch out and also thicken the soup as well, or the stew. I mean, look at that. So now we're getting some blistered colorization up on top of the vegetables. So now we're gonna put our stock in. And if you want, no problem. Get a canned stock if you'd like. Making your own is the best. And you want the right ratio on this too. Don't add too much stock. You wanna just basically cover the vegetables. So we're gonna go all in there. Give that a little stir. So we're gonna add our seared chopped meat. You could do this at home in a cast iron pan, put it in a crock pot, come back 4 hours later, magic. So we're gonna go lid on and into the oven. I'm gonna shut this baby down, go take a cat nap, or drink a beer. And I'm telling you, I've checked it a couple times and it is absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna pull this guy out. The biggest indicator in here is when your potatoes are just starting to break and break down. So they're cooked. Because I love using the hikuri turnip and their greens. Turnip greens, and I hope nobody's throwing them away. Because if you do, it's seriously a sin, especially when they look this good. So I've saved all of the tops of the turnips. We're gonna add these vegetables, let it rest, and then we're gonna create our salad, just a really nice herb salad up on top of it to kind of cut the richness and just brighten the whole dish. When you're running out of real estate here, you know you win. I usually like to have my soup pot almost overflowing. I'm almost wanting a bigger pot. Stir that in there. And if you can share this with your friends, families, loved ones, I mean, whew. And look at that, how that just went down into nothing. Squash and turnips, a little blast of olive oil, and a final layer of salt and pepper. Whee! In the pot we go. I mean, this is amazing. And you can see the reduction on this pot too. This thing has just been steaming in there. And I like to peel out the leaves of the celery. Nice green, a little bit of the yellow. Taste them too, see if they're not bitter, because sometimes they carry some bitterness. You can do chive batons, these are little micro chives. And we have some of this gorgeous lemon basil. You can use regular basil in the winter, cosmic parsley leaf, and just kind of tear that up. Now we're gonna take an organic orange, just a little zest, just to add some of the freshness, because wintertime, fall, Citrus is king. So now I have our preserved orange. What I'm gonna do is take a little bit of the pith away. Really fine julienne. Not much. Chop it up. You're not gonna need any salt in this because this carries a bunch, but we will do a little pepper. Touch of olive oil, just to kind of coat the leaves, and then just with your hands, just kind of make sure that is all coated nicely. Pull out our stew, and I am so excited about this. I cannot control myself now. Get some of that sauce down in there. And we're gonna finish this with the herb salad right up on top. That's like Godzilla versus Mothra. Seriously, it's that big and crazy. So here's our final dish. It's Lockhart braised beef, cosmic apple veggies, finished with a nice bright herb salad with preserved oranges. That's a wrap for this week. I literally cannot wait to get into this thing. Thanks to Chase, Cody, the Lockharts. Beautiful land, awesome work. You guys get out there, get your veggie stock on, make these dishes, freeze them up, and enjoy. Oh.